All right, everyone, happy May. It is our final ECBC for the school year. So we always like to have a celebratory ECBC, kind of honor all the work that you have done. And we have some wonderful things planned as well that we'll talk through on our next slide.
Next slide. Okay.
You're doing great. Okay, so today what we wanted to go over is obviously welcome to everyone. We'll talk about what we're going to do. We do want to highlight all the amazing data that you guys have been putting in your ECBC workbook. We'll highlight in yellow those who have updated, and you'll get to see that. So we have a lot of progress there. Hear from feedback on using the framework this past month. And then our main focus is that final step in our youth planning process, reflect, and then celebrate. So we'll go on. All right. And here are our links to all of our previous recordings and the ECBC Google Drive as well. Okay, so next we're going to pull up our workbook and look at and celebrate our data here. I will say you guys are doing amazing with entering your data. You still have this whole month to enter your data. So please, please, please do that. We've seen amazing increases in the numbers that you guys are inputting. And Barb, I don't know if you're resharing, but I don't see the spreadsheet yet.
Okay, I'm gonna
okay, perfect.
go to that.
Okay, so as we're pulling that up, just a reminder for our Olmsted goal that we submit to the Olmsted cabinet, our goal is to meet 150 students obtaining competitive integrated employment with the disability category of DCD. We are 65 students away. So you guys, we can do this, which would be so amazing because you guys, since COVID, we obviously took a huge dip and haven't met our goal yet. That's not to say that we aren't amazingly proud of you guys for all of the hard work that you have done to help gain that employment. And most importantly, you're building these continuous improvement plans in your, or systemic improvement, I should say, in your districts and in your teams, things that will last. So if you see here, we have 65 that we still need. And I know some of you didn't get to update your data this month yet, so you still can do that. The ones in yellow are the ones who have, so thank you. If your numbers didn't change, I didn't know if you updated or not. But otherwise, you guys, this is the most yellow we've seen all year. So pat yourself on the back for doing that. We can't thank you enough. I know it's super annoying for us to ask you about the data every month. Unfortunately, this is what we submit to the Olmsted cabinet. So thank you for doing that. Oh, wow, look at everybody going in there too. Good call on the link. Okay, so again, please, please, please update that data. You have until let's just say end of the month here, so that we can get that data inputted and submitted to the Olmsted cabinet. So thank you guys again. So we're going to go back to our slideshow. Okay,
right.
I'm going to turn it over to you, Beth.
Hi, this is Beth Gruby. I'm with the Department of Human Services, and we're going to get into talking about the transition framework a little bit. Again, this time just to get everybody grounded and reminded that this is really what we're here to work on this year. So, excuse me. So remember that the transition framework is really what defines high quality transition services and programming for youth with disabilities and for all of us who support them. So that's what we're doing this year in the ECBC, is to test it out, see how it works, see what changes need to be made, and how we roll that out across the state. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. All right, so as always, we need your feedback on how it went for you using the transition framework this past month since our last meeting. And then we're going to take right now, there's a link that's in the chat or is going to be put in the chat to take a survey to let us know just how did you use the toolkit, your experience with it, navigating around in it, what do you like best, what do you think needs improvement, and what do you feel like you need to use the toolkit more. So we're going to take 3 minutes to do that right now. And I'm going to set the timer for 3 minutes right now. So go ahead and do that. Click on the link, please.
Those of you who just hopped on, we're taking 3 minutes to complete the survey in the chat.
All right, if you're not quite done yet, you can go ahead and take your time and finish it. So we wanted to give you a few minutes to do that. And we're gonna keep plugging along. So if you want to go to the next slide, thank you. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the April feedback from the survey that we got last month. So a lot of you told us that you're still just beginning to use the toolkit, that you know, getting that navigating around in it, there's a lot there. So getting used to it. And about an equal number are finding your way around and using it with students, which is great. Students, families in your team, and the quote we have there, the more I use it, the more I like the format, I'm more comfortable. So that's true what we've seen and heard. The more that you're in there, getting comfortable with what's in the toolkit, the easier it is to use. And then some examples were given of additional help people would like. Having things like a checklist of things to do with students for the toolkit. So more guidance about how to use the toolkit with students or elements of the toolkit. And then more training on My Vault, especially after someone has signed up for it. So what's next? And I just read that just now, and we have a training. So I will put the link in the chat when I'm done presenting. All right. And then we also had the exit ticket from the last ECBC, and we got some feedback from that. So a lot of you, or some of you said that you enjoyed having just one breakout session discussing the family engagement and hearing from others around the state rather than multiple. People were looking forward to being able to offer families more resources and making use of the guidance on the hub, which is great. We know a lot of families are looking for that. Some people would also like breakout groups to be organized by teams rather than randomly, so that you can learn together in your own teams. So that's what we heard from the last exit ticket. Thanks for participating in that. And I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa Klein from Vocational Rehabilitation Services. So obviously with our last meeting of the year, we want to really reflect on all the wonderful work that's been done and celebrate all of our accomplishments together, which also includes celebrating the accomplishments of the youth that we're all supporting. So let's go to the next slide where we're talking about, again, what we focus on in terms of using the toolkit and the framework and using this 6-step process, this youth planning process. And we're just going to remind all of you what we covered this year in terms of that process. So step 1 was building the team that's, surrounding that youth to support that youth. The second step was identifying the youth transition and pre-S strengths and needs, of course, using the inventory. Step 3 is that we take all that information from the inventory and we all create or update our plans together. Step 4, from there, we're implementing those plans. Step 5 is we're tracking progress through those learning stages. And then what we're talking about today is reflecting at the end of each year, is talking about how far that youth has come with the transition services they're receiving and how they did proceed through those learning stages. So let's just real quickly, we're going to go through the slides, and I think Lindsay, we're going to cover this one. Or did you need me to? I can do this one.
Okay.
So, okay. So again, that last slide was just a high-level overview of the 6 steps. So here we are again. Step 1, we talked about building the team at the beginning of each school year, understanding who's on that youth team or who isn't but should be. And we're thinking about that graphic on there. We've got school staff, the youth in the center, of course, school staff, VR staff, which can include VRS, or State Services for the Blind, SSB, the service providers, that might be either through the waiver or through the VR program, the waiver case manager, and then at the top there, the family or guardian or any advocates that they invite to the team. This is also when we make sure that everyone has a MyVault account and that contact information is shared, ideally through the MyVault account with that youth. They can share who's on their team so everyone knows who's on the team and how to contact them. So that was step 1 that we talked about earlier in the year. We'll go to step 2. The next slide. Oh, maybe my internet's not working. I'm going to actually turn off my video. Sorry about that. Maybe you're on the next slide and I
Yes.
will go.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and there I just got kicked out of Zoom again. So at least I'm on my phone.
Yes, so you're on step 2.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the step 2, again, using the inventory. I think to me, this is a highlight. If we took away one thing, of course, we wouldn't want to just take away one thing, but this is a primary tool that we can all be using that allows us to share the same language and the same information about the youth. Where are they at in transition? What are their strengths and what are their needs? And it allows us all to have that conversation about who can do what. What are we going to prioritize this year? So, and then the third step, again, based off that inventory, we can all create or update our plans including the IEP, the employment plan that is developed by VRS and SSB, and the waiver support plan. And then going to the next slide. As you recall, we dug in a few of the meetings in the support youth section of the toolkit, where we were able to go into the 4 domains that are a part of our framework, which are best life, independent living, employment, and post-secondary education and training. And so that allows us, gives us some resources. I actually just had a provider reach out to me today, and they needed some resources for delivering instruction and self-advocacy, as well as post-secondary education and training counseling. And so I pointed them, I gave them links to our toolkit, and I said, there's wonderful resources I gave them the links to the different sections in the support youth section of the toolkit. So keep that in mind. That's what that is all about with the support youth section of the toolkit. All right, so then we talked about tracking progress. We talked about how, first of all, when we create our plans, although they all look differently, we all develop goals and we all develop steps to reach those goals in all of our plans that we create with youth. And we also all track progress towards those goals. And so as we're talking about tracking progress, if we go to the next slide. Oh, maybe I didn't have that there, sorry. That's where we would be using the 4 learning stages when we're tracking progress, is what we talked about with tracking progress. So again, allowing us to use the same language, same way of documenting how our youth is progressing with transition. All right, but let's go now to the next slide. And that's what we're here for today, is at the end of the year, ideally that team that is supporting the youth would meet, connect in some way to talk about how the youth has progressed through those learning stages, and celebrate those accomplishments with that youth and the whole team together, to share that information so everyone's on the same page. So that would be the final thing that we would be reminding all of you to be able to do that with the youth that you've been working through this process with this year, and then in the future together. But I think, is that it for me right now? Oh, yes, I'll hand it to Lindsay.
Okay, thanks, Alyssa. Way to go, where you can't even see what you're talking about on our screen. So like Alyssa said, we want to reflect and highlight one of our community teams today. And Abby, who's with Goodhue County Education District, she can't be here today because she's listening to her daughter's 3rd grade concert. How adorable. She said she hopes that she doesn't get stage fright, but really, really cute to even think about it. So she shared some words of greatness that they have to celebrate all the things that they've done as a community team. So I just wanted to share some of those pieces that she shared with me regarding their celebration and reflecting. So just so you know, their transition program is called STEP. And obviously it's for 18 to 21-year-olds, and it's located in Red Wing. And they serve actually students from 6 high schools located throughout the Goodhue County. And so they have 7 out of their 10 students who obtained competitive employment. And she wanted to highlight that part of that success, or a huge part of the success, is what she wrote, is really that partnership among their team. Mentioning the vocational rehabilitation partners, their access to their PAYS lab, and the local school district. I know that they are still working on some more county involvement at that team, but really she's highlighting the, that first step of building that team. And so then she talks about throughout their school year, they really work on trying to get students out into the community as much as possible. They do have students out in the community 4 days a week, which is amazing. They have 16 sites which are volunteer, and then 1 site where they have students who are paid in that competitive wage at the local high school. And they actually employ 3 of their students 5 days a week, working an hour and a half a day. And so she was just highlighting with that community exposure and really having that paid work experience. The students are given that opportunity to show the community what they have to offer, right? So thinking about that partnership of all of us together, and everybody plays a role. So thinking of all of our own roles, which we've talked about. And so by showing the community what the students can do, then they're able to obtain employment by building those soft skills so that they can demonstrate that in any job that they obtain. Let's see, then oh yes, this one I love too. She talked about all of the students setting up a MyVault account within the transition toolkit. She said throughout the year, the students added essential documents and their personal information. So like their resume, references, they did include their PAYS Lab summary report. And because all of their students spend a semester in a PAYS Lab, but ideally they uploaded all of these documents into their MyVault account so that it transitions with them when they graduate. They did call out their amazing relationship with their VRS rep, Jim. He has done an amazing job. So I don't know, Jim, if you're on here today. So kudos to you if you are. Amazing job connecting students with pre-employment specialists. And she mentioned Stephanie Kruger and Pearl Consulting. And each week they met with students one-on-one and refined those skills. And really just thinking about, she said it truly takes a village. And so they really kind of went through that youth planning process using the 6 steps and utilizing the tools from the toolkit. And she really attributes that to that team approach. So hats off to Goodhue County Education District. And we appreciate you guys sharing that. All right. Okay, so next we're going to talk about, we do want to hear from you today, but before we do that, we wanted to launch a little poll that we have to kind of get a baseline. You know, we've spent this whole year testing the transition framework within the Youth and Transition Toolkit. So we just want to ask a couple questions before we go into our breakout session. But maybe I'll explain what we're going to do in the breakout sessions before we launch that poll. So we're going to have 8 groups. And then once we open those group breakouts, you'll receive a pop-up on your screen. Each of the groups are going to have a facilitator. So those of us with ECBC backgrounds are going to be in there. Some new faces, some faces you know. And then we're going to go through some questions that we want to hear from you guys. And then after, we'll come back together. Oh, the questions are on the screen on our slide, but we'll put them in the chat as well. After that, we'll come back together as a full group. And your facilitator, so make sure to share with your facilitator one highlight or some highlights that you want to be shared in the large group when we come back together. The most interesting thing that you want us to share with the greater group. So this is really an opportunity to hear from you guys, and we hope that you'll give us your honest feedback. All right, with that, I'm going to launch our poll here. And it's just 2 questions. Everybody see the poll on their screen? Okay. So just a reminder, you have to scroll down to the second question too. Okay. Mike, are you the only one that can't see the poll? Oh, Pam sees the poll. Okay. The poll's on the screen, Mike. Maybe it's hidden behind. Can you see the poll, Wendy? Oh. Oh, you saw the poll, then it
went up
left.
initially, Lindsay, and then it disappeared.
I'm going to relaunch it. Okay. Watch your screen. Oh, no. Okay. So if I relaunch it, it's going to clear. So if everyone will do me the favor of refilling out your poll, I would really appreciate it. Just 2 questions. Okay. So it's on your screen. Look on your screen, everyone. Just 2 questions. Don't let it hide behind a window. All right. Oh, I see people answering it. Awesome. Yes. Okay. All right. They're slowing down. Okay. If you haven't answered the poll, they're changing still a little, maybe 2 more seconds. All right. I'm gonna end poll here, and I think share, can you guys see? Let's see, I'm gonna share our results. Do you guys see that? Okay, so that first one there, looks like we have for how much do you understand the new statewide transition framework? Our biggest one was in that 3 understand somewhat. So thank you for that. And then our second one, do you believe the transition framework will increase consistency in the process of equity across the system? And our biggest one was in agree. So we have 69% there. All right, thank you guys for answering that. I'm going to stop sharing those results. And we're going to go into our breakouts. So reminder, you're going to have a facilitator, you're going to get a pop-up, and you just go on in once you get that pop-up on your screen. Oh, thanks. Did you get a pop-up, Beth?
Lindsay, I'm not seeing my pop-up.
So I think if you're a co-host, you just have to find your group. So if you scroll down, find your group and then join. Otherwise, I can send you there. You want me to send you there?
Sure.
Okay. I'll send you to Barb.
Okay.
This is Emily. It doesn't look like it's putting people in. I'm gonna close them and
Okay.
try again. I don't know what's.
Okay. It's just a Zoom weird day.
Yeah.
I haven't got anything either, Lindsay.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, so they're
Have
gonna
to wait 30
close.
seconds.
Awkward.
So annoying.
And I'm gonna stop the recording.
Let's try again.